Hello, it's day 215, and I want to talk about numbers and fitness. When you try to become fit and healthy, it's really easy to get obsessed with the numbers. People will tell you you have to eat 1,200 calories a day, you have to do 3 sets of 15, you have to do 60 minutes on the treadmill. If you don't hit those perfect numbers, then you're failing somehow. And a lot of times it has a overlap with health. They'll go to the doctor and your blood pressure has to be this, your blood glucose has to be this, your numbers have to be this. And people see that and they think numbers equal health. If the number is within a perfect range, then I am perfect, I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's fine when it's coming from a doctor, but when it's coming from a YouTuber or when it's coming from just your friend Becky at the gym, that's when you have to step back and say, am I doing it for my own health purposes or am I doing it because number equals good? In the past, when I used to hate going to the gym, it was usually because I was obsessed with a number. I would tell myself I had to do 60 minutes on the treadmill. Like, even if my legs were burning, even if my joints were suffering, if I didn't do 60 minutes, it was a failure. Nowadays, I tend to focus less on the number and more on how I'm feeling during the day. Like, some days I go 55 minutes on the treadmill, some days I go 50, some days I go the full 60, some days I go 90. It really just depends on how my body is responding to the exercise and the exercise of days past. If I'm sore, I'm not going to push as hard. And I find when I do things like that, when I just intuitively follow what my body is doing, a lot of times I get a much better workout. And I also like going to the gym now. It's a fun thing for me rather than a chore, so I end up going a lot more. I think with intuitive eating, what I'm hoping will happen is the same thing with food. Like, some days you want 1,200 calories, some days you want, 1,000. Some days you want to eat 2,000, and it's okay. You just have to respond to what your body wants, because not every day is going to be absolutely perfect. Maybe if I can start eating intuitively, really eating intuitively, without all the baggage that came with all of those diets over the years, maybe I'll start liking to eat again, and maybe I'll do a better job nourishing myself instead of just shoving food in because it's what you have to do. Unfortunately, we're living in a pretty unhealthy world. There's tons of things out there trying to kill you. There's pollution in the air, there's microplastics in the water, and when people tell you that your only problem is the fact that you're doing 55 minutes on the treadmill instead of 60, you really have to look them in the eye and say, maybe you should get out of my business a little bit. Maybe all of the solutions are not in a book somewhere. Or maybe what worked for you is not going to work for me as well. I really do wish that more people would take a step back and try to figure out their own bodies rather than looking out to the world to tell them what they should do instead. But people like to be told what to do. People like to just be put into a box and shuffled down the assembly line. People want to believe that they're the only person in the world, the one magical person who the diet's going to work for. And unfortunately, that's just not the way of things. You really do have to get in touch with yourself, and that's the only way you'll ever find success.